And we really appreciate it. We also really appreciate being here in Budapest. I have a lot of Hungarian friends in the U.S. The guy I worked for in college, from whom I learned everything I know, was Hungarian, and the fellow who introduced my wife and I was Hungarian. So our Hungarian relationship goes way back. And I also glad to be here because I really enjoy talking to adults. I spent 38 years teaching college, talking to 19-year-olds. And do you know the difference between a college student and a high school student?
No.
One summer vacation. So it's really fun to talk to adults for whom you don't have to explain things. I am an absolute nut on the subject of leadership, and and I think leadership is the most important problem in the social sciences. I think leadership is what will get you killed. When good people are in charge, good things happen. And when bad people are in charge, bad things happen. And mostly bad people are in charge. So we can tell you up front how that's going to be. And so that's the subtext of this whole talk is leadership. I think the academic study, I'm a recovering academic, I think the academic study of leadership has failed. And by failed, I mean there's no, you read books, textbooks, journal articles on leadership, you'll find absolutely no consensus about the characteristics of good leaders. No consensus. It's just failed. And all smart observers say the academic study of leadership is just a trash pit. There's nothing there. And it's failed for three reasons. It's failed because of the fact that the reviewers, the people who write on leadership, they ignore the followers, the reaction of the followers. They just focus on the people at the top of these organizations. They ignore the followers. They ignore the issue of return on investment, ROI, because there are serious financial consequences associated with leadership, and they ignore personality. You put those three topics together, followers, return on investment, profitability, bottom line, and personality, then up top the topic of engagement, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So, leadership is typically, in the literature, academic, who studies leadership? There are academics and then there are business writers, right? The people on MSNBC. Journalists don't know what they're talking about. The people who write for the Harvard Business Review don't know what they're talking about. The academics don't know what they're talking about either. Typically defined in terms of the people who are in charge. But, so they study leadership by studying CEOs. But, what kind of person gets to the top, rises to the top of large, hierarchical, bureaucratic, male-dominated organizations? The answer is politicians. The people at the top of the organization are politicians. They're not. And so if you just study these top guys in these organizations, you can't make any conclusions because each of them got to the top of a particular organization based on kind of a Darwinian process. And the politics inside each organization were different, and who gets the only thing they have in common is they all were able to get a board to appoint the CEO. So if you think about Jack Welch and Jeffrey Immelt, the last two CEOs of General Electric, what do they have in common? Absolutely nothing. Welch was a PhD chemical engineer, a kind of a paranoid, nasty, aggressive, unpleasant guy. And Immelt is a world-class schmoozer. He's a very friendly, engaging. They have absolutely nothing in common, except that they were both able to persuade the board of General Electric at a certain point in time that they should be CEOs. And think about Michael Eisner and Robert Iger, the past and present CEO of Disney. What do they have in common? Eisner is a kind of a paranoid, obsessive, compulsive, vindictive micromanager, and Iger is this kind of loose, tolerant, easygoing, pleasant guy. What do they have in common? Absolutely nothing, except that they were both able to persuade the board at a certain point in time that they should be made president of Disney. So if you study these guys and try to say what do they have in common, the only thing they have in common is political skill, their ability to persuade a board at a particular point in time that they should be in charge. So that way of approaching the study of leadership has failed for those reasons. Do you all see my point? You can't understand, you can't make any generalizations by just studying top guys, but you're studying in product. Look at what are the history of American presidents. What do they have in common? Nothing, except that they were all able to get elected.